Having little bits of jazz language like this up your sleeve are really useful, and this particular example, it works over a 5-1, so you could use it anytime you got dominant to the 1 chord, so in a 2-5-1. Now you will have heard that on many recordings, it's a very common line. The difficulty I think though is actually how do you practice something like that and incorporate it into your improv so that it comes in naturally and that it interlinks with the other harmonic ingredients, so scales and arpeggios. In this lesson I'm going to break down for you how I practice this kind of problem and go from having just a little basic bit of language like this to incorporating it within a longer line. Now, tab and notation is available, link in the description below. So here's this really typical move again. And harmonically the following is going on. Interval wise, that's your root G, flat 7 F, D the 5th, sharp 5, landing on the 3rd of C major, E. So that line is all about reaching the note E on that C major 7. We're targeting that note because that's the 3rd of the C major 7, a note which really determines the quality of that chord, making it a great note to target. So the aim of this lesson is to take that idea, and we've got it there in our 2-5-1, but I want to fill the rest of it up in the D minor 7 and the first half of the G7 bar, so we have a longer line. We need some additional notes for that. Let's think about arpeggios first for each of those chords. Root, 3rd, 5th, 7, root, 3rd, 5th, 7, root, 3rd, 5th, 7. Now ideas might get dull if we just use chord tones, arpeggio notes, so maybe we'll fill some of those arpeggio tones out with notes from the scale. So essentially I'm about to play D Dorian for D minor 7, G Mixolydian for G7 and C Ionian for C major 7. If you're the resident know-it-all, of course there's more interesting scales we could use over that. Let's just keep things simple for now. So we've got the move, we've got some arpeggios and scales that we could use to create ideas with. Now, how I then move towards putting the move within the context of a line is I fix it rhythmically on that second half of the bar where it naturally feels like it works on 3 and 4 and of the G7. Here's the next 2 ideas I'm about to play for you. You'll see the idea there in this one and there. And what I do before that will be taken from those scales and arpeggios, and I might stick in the odd kind of chromatic approach note as well, because sometimes they just make things sound much more interesting. So here's the first example. 1, 2, 3, 4. And harmonically that's going root, 3rd, 5th, 7, 9 to root on the D. On the G7 it's going 1, 3, 5, 7, then the line. And for me that move at the end gives a really strong finish. It's a really easy thing to hear once you get used to it. And the second example, there's no rest in this one, and I like the chromatic approach note here between the D minor 7 leading into the G7 and the flat 9 on the G7 just adds a bit of tension here. Here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. And harmonically that's going 1, 3, 5, 7 on the D minor, and then 9 root, 5th, and then this is a chromatic passing note, the B flat. Then on the G7 we're going 3, 5, flat 7, flat 9, then the line. Another thing I like to do when I'm practicing getting little ideas into my improv is picking a rhythm. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that line fixed where it is, but for the rest of the phrases I'm going to have a rhythm and I'm going to try and put different ideas to it. Here's the rhythm we're going to use first. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that rhythm is going on the D minor 7, 1, 2, 3, and then rest on 4. So 1, 2, 3, and rest on 4. On the G7 we're going 1, 2, 3, and 4, and C major, just hold the note for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. And then putting that into an idea, we're going to use that rhythm, and the idea is going to sit where it has done on 3 and 4 and on the G7, and let's approach the idea from below. 1, 2, 3, 4. Harmonically, that was going root, 5th, 9 root. On the G7, we're going 3, 5, and then the line. And then I'll try things like using the same rhythm and approach the idea from above, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the G7 that time, we approached the idea from above. You hit a chromatic, there, the A flat. And as things progress, I might take a few liberties with the rhythm, as I do on the G7 on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again from above, we've got this little trill with between the root and the flat 9 of the G7. Because it's rhythm which really gives ideas, I think, an identity. And obviously, whenever we're improvising, we've got to make sure that what we're doing kind of locks in with the timing. So practicing rhythm is as important as the notes themselves. Let's pick another rhythm. Here's the second one we're going to use. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rhythmically, that's going 1, 2 triplet, 3, and 4. So resting on 4. 1, 2 triplet, 3, and 4. Resting on the 4 though. On the G7, we're going to have a rest on the first half of beat 1. We're going to go 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. So coming on the and of 1. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Harmonically, that's going root, 5th, 9 to 1. On the G7, it's going 9, flat 9, then the line. Putting that into an idea, and again, hitting that move on the 3 and 4 end of the G7. 1, 2, 3, 4. In that one, we've got starting on the 5th. Then we're going to go from the 5th to the flat 5 and back with a slide. 3, root. On the G7, we're going to do the slide up and down from the 5th to the flat 5 and back, and then the line. So that's one way that I like to practice little units of jazz language. Now there's a little follow-up from this video over on Patreon, a little bonus post as a thank you to you guys that support me over there, and that's my 5 favourite 2-5-1 licks. Link in the description for that, as well as the resources from today. Don't forget jazz guitar lessons every Wednesday here with myself, Andy. Until next time, you take care.